guys, it's Adrian. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you a spoiler-free book discussion of What We Saw by Aaron Hartzier. This video is going to be a little bit different than my usual spoiler-free book reviews because I want to talk about the content in the book and some of the themes in the book in a little bit more detail than usual. Before we even get started, I just wanted to let you know that there are trigger warnings for this book for rape. This book is told from the perspective of a girl named Kate Weston, and Kate is a high school student. The book starts off when Kate wakes up the morning after a party and she doesn't really remember what happened. She's got glimpses of things that went on here and there, but she was drinking like most of her classmates and she can't really put together the entire piece of everything that went on that night. But a little further on in the story, she finds out that some terrible things actually happened during that party. 4 boys from the varsity basketball team are arrested for alleged rape. Stacy, the girl that pressed charges against the 4 boys that raped her, is not a very well-known student, and she's certainly not a popular student. Obviously, this causes a whole bunch of problems in their town and in their school. So the story follows Kate and her journey to finding out what actually happened at this party. Should she stay on the side of the school who claims that these boys are good kids and they come from a good family and they're popular, well-known kids, or should she believe the girl that says that they raped her? I can't give you too much more of a summary for this book because it will spoil you for the rest of the story, but there are a lot of things that I want to talk about. So let's move on to the plot. Now, the plot was really good. It was slow burning. It wasn't a fast-paced novel by any means, and it definitely is character driven. However, there were some beautiful points that I do want to touch on in a moment. And the same thing goes for the writing of the book. I can't honestly say that this was the best well-written book that I've ever read. There were definitely flaws and things that I didn't appreciate as much, but it definitely was solid. The characters, however, were very well done. They were very realistic, and I think that is what made the story as powerful as it is. So like I said earlier, we're given the story from the perspective of Kate, and I think that Kate, of all the characters, has the most growth. She has a really great arc. She starts the story kind of naive, kind of immature, kind of assuming that things are okay, and she grows a lot. She learns a lot about herself and her beliefs and what she chooses to believe and what her friends believe. Where does she fit in her friends group? Where does she fit in society? And I think that that was very well done. The same thing goes for Ben, Kate's boyfriend. His character had developed in a different way than Kate's did, but he was very realistic and he made some choices that most people in real life make, which again made me really appreciate this book. So as of now, you're probably thinking, oh, this is just an average book. The writing was average, the plot was average, the summary wasn't all that great, but there are some nuggets of truth in this book that I want to talk to you about. As many of you know, I read a lot of fantasy books, so I don't read a lot of these real life, real problem books, and I think that's a flaw in my personal reading. I think that I should be reading more books that open my eyes to the things around me, and this one is a really good one for that. So let's talk about a few of the things that I pulled out of this book that I just wanted to share with you. They were kind of not things that were brand new, not things that I've never thought of before, but they're just little things that made me stop and go, huh. So one of the major issues that's talked about in this book is shoving things under the rug and not dealing with them for whatever reason. Some of these kids denied the fact that this girl was raped because they didn't want to think about the possibility that it could happen to them. Others shoved it under the rug because they didn't want to face the complications that it would have for their own lives, whether they were involved in the crime or not. So let's talk and be real about these issues. How many times do we walk away from somebody else's problem, whatever it may be? This is obviously a very big problem, but it even happens with small little problems. You see your neighbor and their car won't start. You don't have time to help them, so you walk away. You see a girl in school who's being bullied and you don't want to get involved. You don't want to be thought of as the friend of the kid that's being bullied. You don't want to be bullied yourself, so you walk away. There are so many little things that we can do in our everyday lives to help someone out and not walk away because of the complications that it will have on our own lives, big or small. Another theme that sprung out of the pages for me was don't judge a book by its cover. We judge people by their cover, if you will, whether we do it purposefully or subconsciously, by the way that they act, by the way that they talk, by what they believe, by the clothes that they wear. It happens, and we don't always mean to do it, but we do it. But the thing that really caught my attention about this particular topic, I want to read to you quickly. Don't judge a book by its cover. Mom is always saying that, but most of the time, I think that's exactly what people are asking us to do. Please, judge me by my cover. Judge me by exactly what I worked so hard to show you. Let's just stop and think about that for a minute. Isn't that true? Don't we all do that to some degree or another? Aren't we all showing people a side of us that we want them to see. And don't get me wrong, I'm not judging you. I'm not saying that you do this as a person because I don't know you. I am saying, however, that to a certain degree, I do this. I like to think that I'm a real person, that I try to be open and honest to people, but there are definitely moments where I let people see a certain side of me because I think that's what they want to see, and that's what I want them to see. Another thing that really jumped out at me is kind of the overall story, and that's looking at things through the eyes of a teenager. Now, I'm not talking about the young adult fantasy teenagers, the I'm a 17-year-old chosen one teenagers. I'm talking about real life teenagers. Being a teenager, I remember, was really rough. It wasn't easy. But one of the things that really jumped out at me in this book is that at one point Kate says that the parents don't want to let them in their lives and deal with their parent problems because they're too young to understand. But sometimes she felt like she was the one that did understand. It just made me smile a little bit because I remember feeling that as a teenager. I remember looking at a problem that an adult saw as so complicated and I saw as so black and white. All that just to say that teenagers don't have an easy life. They go through sometimes emotionally more complex situations than we do as adults, and so we have insights on things, and don't take that for granted. I could go on for hours, but there's one more thing that I want to talk to you about, and that's the fact that we are given so many subliminal messages in society, and it talks about that through talking about the musical Grease. The musical Grease is a beautiful musical with fantastic songs that most everybody has at least heard of at one point in their life or another. And how everybody thinks that this is such an uplifting, happy-go-lucky musical, but if you actually look at the plot of the musical, it's not. It's about a girl who gets hot and heavy with a guy during summer vacation, and this guy wants her to change to what he wants her to be, and he wants her to have sex with him, and she doesn't want to. And eventually, she becomes exactly what he wants her to be. And so it talks about how through the music of this show, you forget exactly what that message is, and how horrible of a message it is. But yet you still get on your feet and you cheer for Sandy and Danny, who are finally together. But if you take a minute to step back, you go, oh wait, did I really want them to be together? Was that really a good idea? I'm sorry, after reading this book, I will not let my kids watch Grease until they're like 100. We need to be careful about what we see, what we hear, and how that affects us and how we change ourselves and our opinions about ourselves because of it. Alright guys, so I'm sorry if that was a little preachy, if it was a little mom, but you know, I am a mom, so that's how I see things. But I just want to take a minute to talk about a book that actually touched on real life topics, and there are so many more in this book. I could talk for hours about things that I pulled and gleaned and thought about in this book, but those were just a few of them. All in all, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I really loved it, as you can tell. I really would suggest reading it if you're looking to expand your horizons into real life scenarios, if you're looking for something that goes a little bit deeper than, to be honest, the shallow fantasy books that we read. Alright guys, so now comes the fun part. In the comments below, let me know, have you read this book? Did you appreciate it like I did, or did you not like it? Have you picked up on things that maybe I haven't picked up on or haven't touched on in this video? And let me know if you like this kind of discussion video. Maybe it was a little long-winded and blabbery at times, but I just wanted to bring some depth into my channel, a little bit more than just quick little book reviews. So that wraps it up for today. If you like this kind of video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of my little community here. And don't forget to talk to me in the comments below, because that is my favorite part of making these videos, is the interaction with you and finding out what your opinions are. See you next time, guys, and thanks for watching. Bye!